The season is here. It is NASCAR. We're recording a little early. It's a Thursday night. The dual races just finished. I'm leaving. I got some family obligation to do. Brandon's coming on the podcast early. He is here. He just watched the dual races. Before we dive into all that, I'm so pumped up for the season. Every single year, you donate your time. I appreciate you. Consider you a good friend, and we are growing. I am so happy you are back. How are you doing today, my man?
Doing good, man. Pumped. It's seems like a long off season that just snuck right on us, and we're right back at it all over again. And drama already started tonight. So Kyle Busch is already mad. So after a qualifying race, you got mad Kyle Busch. So what else can you ask for?
So what are the three things that stood out to you from this Tuesday night, the dual races, excuse me?
The Fords are fast. You actually text me, I think it was this morning, that Hamlin said something on his podcast about the Fords having more of an aero advantage, which I don't know where that comes in. I don't understand that part, but it was clear the Fords were fast. Logano started the season just like he ended it, one dual, one in a Ford. Blaney was fast. Almirola, one dual, two. What's he drive? A Ford. So the Fords are up there all night. All night.
So that brings to an interesting strategy. My car is kind of Ford heavy. My betting card's kind of Ford heavy. You know, I took a couple stabs at a couple dudes that aren't in Fords, but it's mainly Ford heavy after I read that quote from Hamlin. Do you have the same mindset going into the Daytona 500?
I want to, but then I get hesitation to the fact that Hendrick has a front row for like the 11th year in a row. 1-2, Alex Bowman, Kyle Larson, they're both running Chevys. So I think what it's going to come down to at the end of the race, and I definitely pay attention to live betting, but the manufacturers, how they stand up to each other. At one point, you had Bubba Wallace in a Chevy or a Toyota running second, and you had the first place, I can't remember who it was, first place, I think Logano, and third place was not a Toyota, and they're on the radio saying, how do we shuffle the Chevy out of here? Like, we got to find a way to get this Chevy out. So it's all manufacturer based. So come to the end of the race, if you have a Chevy bet and he's mixed in with Fords, you're not going to win this race. So you have to have more manufactured teammates in this race than you do your actual teammate.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's going to be wild.
Now that the stuff you just mentioned, how do people listen? How do they find out that data?
What I would recommend on PC this year for the first time ever, if any PC, you can listen to in-car audio on NASCAR.com for free. You just have to download it on your cell phone for $25, which you can still do. It covers the whole season. But you can listen to it on your PC for free. So if you are going to do live betting, you have to have in-car audio. If you're not going to have in-car audio, don't go by the announcers. Don't go by what you see on TV. You had guys in 7th place backing up to get a run when Christopher Bell was in 4th place, and they came over the radio and said the 20 just came over the radio and said that he's going to pull out a line if 6th and 7th go. So unless you hear that strategy, you're going to have no clue what you're trying to live bet on. So don't waste your time with live betting unless you have in-car.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Interesting.
To make it more interesting, Daniel Suarez turned Kyle Busch while leading the duel.
I love it.
Complete mistake. Kyle got loose. Suarez gave him another bump, lost the arrow. It loaded up the left rear, and you can't control it once that left rear is loaded, and spun him. But, of course, it was great first night of racing to see Kyle Busch get in front of the camera before the race is over and just be mad. Like, what else can we ask for? Come on.
I love it. I know you're not a big Kyle Busch guy. You know, our beloved friend Biho is his number one fan. So I'm sure you probably sent him a nice little text message. Let him know.
I didn't, but now that you reminded me, I'll be glad to send that before I go to bed.
So we have the Daytona 500, and obviously, look, everyone's excited. I'm excited. Brandon's excited. But this is a restrictor place super speedway. You want to avoid the big one. we're not doing group bets. We're not doing manufacturer bets. We're taking small bets. Now, granted, I have I have 5 people on my card, but I didn't go over 2 units.
No, and we talk about it.
You got to avoid the big one here.
We laugh about it all the time. And for those of you that have been watching us for 3 years now, we never sprinkle bets unless it's a super speedway. And I mean, I'm not even going to bet them. I want them to win, but Chase is 14-1, but I don't think he has the car. You don't see this high of odds unless it's at a super speedway. So make sure you take your money and you sprinkle it throughout this field, because this is Daytona and Talladega, the only 2 tracks that your ROI can be so big off of a nobody.
And we've seen it before. We've seen Buescher. We've seen Haley come close. We've seen Cody Ware.
Trevor Bayne won Wood Brothers back in the day. So
we've seen this stuff. Now, I have 5. How many do you have?
I think I have 4 or 5. No, I think I got 5 as well.
All right. So I'll let you kick off. First one.
I'll kick off and we'll tag team this one because we've been on the same page. My pick to win the championship this year is Ryan Blaney. My pick for the Daytona 500 to kick it off is Ryan Blaney at 12-1. He's in a Ford. He ran good tonight in the duel. He seems calm, cool, collected. Had a great season last year, just couldn't pull out a victory. So my first pick for the Daytona 500 in 2023 is Mr. Ryan Blaney himself.
I like it. I bet him too. I got him at 12-1. Last 6, he only has 1 DNF. So he has been avoiding the big one. He hasn't been putting the car in trouble. 3rd best average finish here at Daytona. Last 12 super speed races. So that's this and Talladega. 2nd best active finisher amongst drivers. Only 2 DNFs. So he's avoiding the big ones, which is big for me here. He's not putting the car in danger. Now, that has to do with him, but it also is a little bit of luck. You know what I mean? A little bit of luck, but it also do with him not doing anything reckless. And you're right. I think if there's one driver that's due to punch through that glass ceiling this year, I think it's Blaney. I think he's going to start off this year good. 12-1. I like my risk half a unit on this. Blaney at 12-1. Half a unit to win 6. What is your next bet?
Pick number 2. He just won the duel. He said he's going to retire, signed a 2-year contract. Smithfield, number 10, Eric Almirola.
He's kind of
sitting at 16-1.
Yeah, you said he ran good tonight. You said he kind of stood out. I was looking at him too, but I went in a different direction. I took Mark Truex, found him at 30-1. You have to do a little shopping to get this price. He won the LA race. We've talked about it last time we talked, where we've seen drivers win the LA race, has been able to carry this momentum over. If you look back at it, this is the only track he has not had a win at. Best finish back in 2016 when he lost to Hamlin. I believe, even though he hasn't, I believe he's still one of the top drivers on the circuit. He's one of the top half drivers on the circuit. He's getting toward that swan song, toward the end of the road. And it's one of these things. It's a principle play. When I see 30-1 on a Truex, on a track that's a car that's anything can happen, and he's just came off a win, I feel I need to take this 30-1. So I locked it in at 30.
I like it. My next one, and I'm not doing this just for you. I'm not doing it because it's his last hurrah. Well, kind of am. Finding Mr. Kevin Harvick, the old man himself.
Uncle Kev
at 30-1, just like Truex. Last season, retirement, he already came out and said, if there is any retaliation on another driver, he will not wait to use it. So he's not going to ride off this season. And if somebody does something to him just sit back and be like, well, I owe him one. He said he is going to come out guns a-blazing. So the old man himself, Uncle Harvick, Uncle Kevin, Uncle K, whatever you want to call him, I'm doing this for you. I got a feeling about it. 30-1. I like the dude.
I like him. I like him. I should bet it. Watch it. This is gonna be the one race
Yes.
I don't bet him. He's gonna win. The one
Yeah.
race I don't bet him, he's gonna win. My next one, and I kind of feel like he gets overlooked in restrictor plate drivers, and everyone kind of looks at Stenhouse as like, the under the I don't really want to say under the radar, but kind of like the trendy, restrictor plate. But when you looked at it, Chris Buescher has just as good results as Stenhouse. He's finished top 5 before. He's won at a super speedway in his past. I think he's very undervalued, and I see him here sitting at 35-1. I'm throwing a quarter unit on Buescher at 35-1.
Wreck it, Ricky.
But am I right though? Like when you just put him on a piece of paper, Buescher is better.
Agreed.
But everyone just has this like conceived notion that Ricky is just a better restrictor plate driver.
The only reason they do that though is Ricky doesn't hesitate, and he's usually up there until something does happen. So people want to lean on him because his value is so big, and every year he's in contention at some point in the race. But to your point, you look at the numbers, Buescher, way better. Ricky in it for the moment, gone. So I'm with you on that Buescher. I like that pick.
I like it.
I'm going to slide down further. My Rookie of the Year nominee, Noah Gragson, had a good dual race himself. I think it was 4th or 5th. He is sitting at 50-1. In the new Legacy Motor Club team, President Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy's racing in this race. His other teammate, Eric Jones, who we faded a good bit last year but had a successful season. Whole new branded team, rookie driver, Jimmy Johnson as his teammate. Jimmy Johnson is the guy that he talks to for the next 3 nights in a row and learning this track. What do I do? If I'm doing a long shot that's going to be there at the end, I like Noah at 50-1.
So I'm going to ask you this question, and this question, I'm not trying to be a dick with this question.
Jimmy Johnson should have never came back.
No, that's not it.
Okay.
I'm not the biggest Noah Gragson guy.
I love the kid.
And you're way in you're in that world. Like with what you do, you're in that world. I'm not in that world. But from what I've seen on camera, if I were to guess a driver that would be a sponge and go up to another driver for advice, I don't see it being Noah Gragson. Am I wrong with that statement?
No, not at all. You're spot on. But he's not going to go up to another driver. He's going up to the guy that he has to report to on a daily basis. Makes it completely different. That's like if me and you work together and we're competing and I don't come to you, if my boss is sitting there with open ears and has been successful and won 7 championships, I will go to that man and I will take advice from him. And if I don't, that's probably not a good thing to piss off the boss who's won 7 championships.
Yeah, that's true.
It's going to be a humbling moment for Noah. In Xfinity, his boss was Dale Earnhardt Jr., so you probably had that relaxed kind of let's party mentality. Now you're getting with the big boys. There's no more playing around. Either you succeed or you're back down to Xfinity. So what a better way to be able to report to the boss. So I don't think we win a championship anytime soon, but
anything can happen. You're right. Anything can happen there. My next one, I'm taking a long shot. He led laps in this race last year. He's finished 6th, won in 2019. I think this driver is young. He gets overlooked a lot. I'm going Justin Haley. I absolutely love him at 50-1. Another one I'm throwing a quarter unit on just because he's had success here and he's a good restrictor plate racer.
We talked about it. Colleague Racing. They're going to be in the mix this year. Justin Haley's been in it. Justin Haley won Daytona. I think it was the night race under the rain. It wasn't the 500. Haley's won this track before. And again, it was a rain delay. It was for Spire Motorsports when he drove the 77. but he has a victory here. Colleague Racing is here to set a point very early. So I like that pick. You found him at what? 50 to 1?
Guess how old Justin Haley is?
21.
23. Doesn't he seem he's been around for a while?
He does.
You know what I mean? Like he's only 23. And he seems like he's been around for the while. He won at Talladega in 2019, so he's won at a super speedway. He won the Daytona, the Coke Zero Sugar 400.
Yeah, that was a random guy.
Yep. Yeah. So he has had success at super speedways, and we've talked about it. Anything can happen, and you want these drivers that are good restrictor plate riders that are comfortable in the car at these tracks. And at 50 to 1, I think this is a no-brainer.
Oh, absolutely.
He's 23 years old, dude. Like, dude, Jesus. Next one. What are you going with, my man?
So if you give me a moment, I want to sprinkle both these in here.
Okay.
Really simple. Corey LaJoie, 80 to 1. Finished fourth in the duel, had an opportunity. He was running second in the outside line or third. Somebody got loose, but he is in the running. Corey LaJoie is the guy at Daytona every year that just rides in the back for 150 laps. The big one happens. He's not involved because he's chilling in the back. Now with how competitive all these cars are, if he avoids the big one, he will be in the top 10 minimum with the closing laps. So I like Corey LaJoie at 80 to 1. This final one that I just want to add into this.
Wasn't he leading laps last year?
Yes, Atlanta. He's leading at Atlanta. Yes. This last one, I'll never get to say this again. This is going to be my only opportunity. It's going to be my first opportunity ever to even say this. At 200 to 1, I'm doing this as my fan vote. So if you're a gambler and you're strategically looking at just bets, don't touch this man. But if you want to enjoy it, you want to have some fun, you want to roll the dice, Mr. Travis Pastrana, who qualified on time for the 23 team, driving the number 67 at 200 to 1. Travis Pastrana in his first ever Daytona 500 goes out and grabs a victory. Boom.
Wow, dude. Look at you, dude.
If we hit this, I don't think I'll do another podcast the rest of the season.
You'll just retire.
But dude, it's cool. Like his dream has been to race in this race, and he qualified in on speed. He wrecked tonight, which is fine. But to see this man, and even when he got out of his car tonight, just this giant grin on his face of, this has been a childhood dream of mine. Like, I want nothing but the best for this guy because he will not race probably another NASCAR race the entire season.
You know what? I like it. Long shot. I'll throw a little bit on it. My last one, and I'm taking a page out of your book. Harrison Burton, 70 to 1.
Oh, God.
He's in a Ford.
Wood Brothers
improved car.
They've won it before.
They've won it before. He's had success riding the Xfinity track. He was toward the front. I think he was in the top 5 at one point last year. Then he got crashed out. And, when I see a Ford at a long shot and we see how good Fords did basing on the Hamlin quote, I'm rolling the dice. I will take Harrison Burton, 70 to 1. So Burton, Haley, Buescher, I threw a quarter of a unit on, threw a half a unit on Truex, half a unit on Blaney. That comes out to 1.75 U risk. So look, low risk, high reward for me. Are you going half U, quarter U? What are you doing in your 5?
I'm doing a half.
Okay, so half U. So Brandon's 3 deep, 3 U's. I'm a buck and a buck 75 deep. Brandon and I are going to be here every single week talking some NASCAR. When our schedules permit it, we may even do some Instagram live stuff for some DFS. Really looking forward to the season, my man. Thank you for coming on and sharing your wealth of knowledge for NASCAR. Why don't you tell everyone where they can find you on social media?
Boston Boy 83, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, all of the above, everybody.
You know what? I'm looking forward to the season. Good luck on Sunday, and we will talk soon, my friend.
Good luck, everybody. Daytona 500. Enjoy.